Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon. I am just bringing our next trailer load of wheat in here, and that one can be unloaded on there. Combine is working again in the field over down that side. We're going to let that one do, like I said at the end of the last episode, probably 5 times around the field. And then we will set it going to working up and down doing the land work. So, while that one is busy doing that, I'm going to take this bad boy right here, and what I was going to do with this one was I was going to do once more right up across the field and then back down again. Purely so that I can let's start up the baler there, purely so that it's got plenty of room for turning on the end of each line on here. And we're going to try and do this so that the tractor is yeah, it's going sideways. It's going to go sideways across the hill here. We'll see how that works out. Probably, well, I was thinking of doing this the first time when we come to doing our next harvest. Actually have the tractor going side to side on the field and still using this same technique for doing the baling and the grass and everything. But going right the way across on this big field. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea or not. We'll have to see. Ultimately, I suspect it's going to end up being a little bit too much for it. It's going to take way too long for it. But we can start it off at least and just see how it works out. I'm quite looking forward to seeing sort of how well it responds to doing that. What the results are going to be of doing it. It'd be an interesting little experiment anyway. And then after that we will go to fairly standard methods of doing everything. But yeah, just testing it the once. I thought it would be actually a pretty cool thing to try out, just to see what it's like. Because we know what it's like here on this small field. And it does a reasonable job of it. It's just occasionally we have the bales getting caught up. But if we're doing it along the side of the hill and we're not working up and down the hill, then in theory the bales should fall away from the cut grass. And so therefore, in theory, we shouldn't have any issues with the bales getting in the way and getting caught underneath the mower. That's kind of our main issue, really, isn't it? It's the bales get in the way and they get caught under the mower. But one of the other things that we also experience from time to time is, well, not from time to time, every single pass, is going up the hill is really, really painfully slow. And several people have pointed out that perhaps just going side to side, despite the fact that we've got more turns on it each time round, going side to side should help us stop, like it should sort of even that bit out. And yes, you've got more turns, but the fact that we're going so much faster across the field rather than doing the up and down bit, because going up the field it really does slow right down to a crawl. So if we can do it like this, that should in theory speed the whole process up by quite a considerable margin. So we'll see about that. We'll see how that works out. There's the first one, and yeah, we'll end up, I would think, if we're going to do this, going 3 times round the field, right round the outside, maybe along the, like, that end and down that end. We'll do a couple more passes than that. I'm not quite sure. And then we will go about doing things normally. But what, I mean, the other option, of course, is to take the tractor first, put the front-mounted and side-mounted mowers on, drive 3 times around the field with that, then go round with the rake and rake up that little bit of grass. And then once we've done that, is it going to go to the end of it? Yes, it is. It's actually going to go right to the end of that. Once we've done that, then put this little setup going and leave the hired help just working away once we've sort of cleared the outside rounds on the field. That could be another way of doing it. And then, of course, the final option is just do once, maybe twice around the field. Because, like, even here, it's still leaving some bits. So we could do once, maybe twice around the edge of the field just to mark it out, and then set the hired help going and just leave it to it. Don't worry about it in the slightest, just let it go, and then we can perhaps do some tidying up at the end of it rather than at the beginning. Not quite sure yet. We'll wait and see sort of how we think that's going to work out. So I'm going to grab you, and we need to go racing down across the field to go and catch the combine. That is pass number 4 complete. So he's now just started down across the field doing pass number 5. So we need to keep a little bit of an eye on it so that when it finishes the next round around the outside, we can then set it going up and down the field to do the land work. And I will probably set it going up and down the field over on that side over there rather than on this side, although I'm not sure yet. I haven't quite made my mind up on that one. Why? What are you doing? Oh, you are turning. 98%. We're not going to get the trailer under the spout before the combine stops. Almost, but not quite. There we go. Look, see? Almost, but not quite. So it's going to start there, and then the combine is going to start up again. And he's away. We've already unloaded a fair bit now from it. No, I think I'll go down the long side, but what I'll do is I'll set the, rather than using, or should I? No, I won't. I'm just going to change it over so it does the long runs up and down. I'm not going to use the standard hired help. I'm going to keep going with the AI vehicle extension so it will follow the curves on the field. I think that's ultimately going to work out better for us using the rake, because then you don't have it in dead straight lines, and the rake seems to perform better with dead straight lines because you can't use the AI extension with the rake. You can only use the standard hired help with the rake. I mean, yeah, we could use Courseplay if we were going to go and set Courseplay up on here, but I've got no intention of setting Courseplay up on here. I'm not using Courseplay for the hardcore series. I've not intended to do that at all, not even at the very beginning. I am using Courseplay on my other series, on the Alp series, and I will probably continue to use Courseplay on the next series that follows on from that, although there's no guarantee of that, because I've got an idea for my next series on that one, that I'm actually, now that I've sort of given it some serious thought and sort of planned out how I want to do it, I'm really looking forward to doing that series, but I don't think I'll be doing probably won't be doing Courseplay on that series. I don't think it's got room for it. Right. 3 litres shy of a full load on here. 3 litres shy. That's fine. That's not going to make any difference whatsoever. So I'll let that combine carry on up through. And we got to keep an eye on it now, because we've got to be able to empty out the combine at the appropriate time when it's working up and down the field. The difference between working up and down the field and doing just around the outside is that when you're constantly going around in circles, it's much easier to empty the thing out. So I'm going to start tipping you there, then I'm going to jump straight over to you. Right, that bale is out of the way. I did wonder if that bale had been dropped in the wrong place, but it doesn't seem to have been. So far, this seems alright. Alright, the turning is taking a bit of time, but so far it seems to be going across here at a reasonable rate. Now, considering how big this field is going to be, I'm wondering, actually, I'm thinking that it's not going to hold up all that much by having it do the direct baling method that we've got going on here, considering the size of the field, because most of the time it will be down in the crop and racing along, mowing and baling. So most of the time it's going to be doing that, and because the field is not steep going along this way, it's going full tilt. It's going flat out all the way along, and I'm thinking that this could end up sort of working in our favour quite nicely. I think this could actually end up working out very well indeed. I'm just going to stay with this one for a minute just to see how it does with dropping off the next bale. I'm curious where it's going to dump it. Like how far down it drops down the slope, because that's quite an important bit of it. When it gets going on doing the big field all the way along there, is how far down the slope it goes. The big problem, of course, is when it decides to drop a bale right out on the end, or if the bale slightly detaches from the baler and then it dumps the bale off like out there somewhere, because that can sometimes be in the way of the tractor when it comes back through to do its next turnaround. So that's the only issue that we might have, is just there on the very edges. But it doesn't look like that's going to be a problem. It's pushing it out here, so it should dump that bale any second now. Any minute now. No, it's going to cause... It's actually going to cause us problems, isn't it? Right to there. Because sometimes it will do that. It'll get out to this far, but then it'll decide, actually, no, I'm not going to drop it off yet. But then it goes on a little bit further, and it says, actually, you know what? I changed my mind now. I am going to drop it. I'm just going to let it go right here. I don't really want to hold it any longer. Where's it going to go? There. That just moved just then. Did you see it move? So it's already let go of the bale partly, but it's still not actually dumped it on the floor. I wish you'd hurry up. Oh, there we go. Right, now it's dumped it on the floor. And then we can get an idea of the distance that it's got. That's pretty good, I'd say. I don't think that's good. What was the fertilizer situation on this field? Did I remember to fertilize properly? Soil composition. I did fertilize properly, right? That's okay. We've got 2 lots of fertilizer on here, haven't we? Yeah, it goes to 3 lots of fertilizer in seasons. That's where it gets more complicated. Right. The combine over there is 57% full. I need to jump to that combine in a minute, and I need to go to there and very quickly change it over to that one. Like that. That was actually very, very lucky that I managed to grab that in time. So he will stop there. He will immediately about face, and he will go back up across the fields. There we go. Excellent. Right. Everything is going like clockwork. Everything is working exactly as we want. And I love the speed that tractor and baler is doing up there. It's nice to see it actually doing some decent speed. Like it's got a decent turn of speed going on it right there. And it's nice to be able to see that. That's what I like. Very pleased with that. And then as soon as it's finished that bit, I'm wondering if it will actually automatically go up onto the next bit as well. Once it's done that, once we're finished there, we'll get the planter on that one, and we will start planting grass in that field up there. That's going to result in our first... we're going to have to leave the crop... we're going to leave the timescale on 1 speed until we finish doing the planting. But that will get all of that field then planted with grass. And the next harvest off of there will be silage again. We'll do silage bales because we're going to test it out. And also there's going to be a nice lot of bales coming off the field as well, which we will be able to sell and hopefully make an absolute fortune from. So let's jump to... not that way, I want to jump this way. We'll get to the tractor right here, and we can go up to that combine. It's a nearly full grain tank, but it's not full at the moment. We can let it turn round, and then we can unload it as we go right the way down across the fields. And we should get most of a trailer load off of here. It takes 5,003... right, it's on 5,300. What is the actual full load on that combine? 6,340. So because we're in wheat... shift tab to go backwards. Because we're in wheat... the speed that it fills up means that it does just about fill the trailer up while it's filling up the combine, while we're emptying the combine. It just keeps it all flowing. So that's why we're ending up with a full trailer, because at 6,300, we only need another 1,700 litres to come in through. So you are pulling in grain at a fairly steady rate. Wheat and barley tend to do this better. Oats do it a bit, but the yield on oats is lower than it is on wheat and barley. I think actually wheat does give the highest yield. I'm not sure about that. Actual litres per hectare in the game, I think wheat gives the highest yield, and then barley is a little bit below that. It should be that, I believe, because I'm pretty certain that that's what you get in real life, is that wheat yield is ever so slightly higher than barley yield. You would expect the two to be slightly different. Right, that's taken us up to 6,700 litres in the trailer. So not quite as much as we've had from previous trailer loads, but still it's pretty good. It's enough to keep us out of mischief. I thought for a minute he'd crashed or stopped or done something horribly wrong there. And he's only got a couple passes left on that field before he's actually done with that bit. We will go herring off up the road here. We'll get this one up there and get it emptying out before we do anything else. Then we'll go over and have a look at the tractor and mower and just see if it does all right with the bit that's ploughed at the top. I also want to just check that the combine is going... Well, the combine will be a little while before it gets back to this end of the field. Just does the turn okay on this end of the field because it's quite a narrow point on there. Sometimes it goes a little bit funny with the narrow triangle bit, doesn't it? Oh, you got loads left yet? You got absolutely loads left yet. It's got another bale that's about to drop out. Once he's gone over that bit there, we'll go and get the wrapper on the electric tractor. We'll bring that one into the field and we'll start doing some work with that one as well. You can stay there. I'm going to jump back over. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. It's actually this way. And jump back over to this combine and just make sure that it does this bit okay. Looks like it's going to be alright. Doesn't look like we're going to have any problems with this one. Just going to come out. Very, very occasionally, a triangle shape like that does cause problems, although I think it tends to do it more with the standard hired help than it does with the AI extension. AI extension will still do it, but not quite as much. It doesn't seem to have quite so many issues as the standard hired help. So it's a job to tell sometimes. You never can quite tell how the hired help and the AI extension and so on, you never quite tell how they're going to react to various different circumstances in the fields. None of them seem to like anything that's slightly unusual. You do have to kind of work to make your field square to avoid any issues whatsoever. But, yeah, if we were having square fields here, we wouldn't have much of any fields at all. We would have some serious lack of field acreage here. We really would. I'm on 30% at the moment. 32. We should be alright for it to go down to the end, back up again, and then we empty going down the other side. Don't think it's going to get back up again. I don't think we're going to do, like, 2 more passes on it. How are you doing? Right, well, you're getting there. It's got further to go than I thought. Like, when you're looking at it from down the bottom of the hill, it looks like there's maybe 1 or 2 passes left. There is a lot more up here than you think. I think we've got... Well, I think we've got 3 passes left. Let's have a look. He'll drive in here. It's what it's going to do once... I think it's just going to do, like, the pass up to the edge of it here, and it's going to stop. Thinks that's the end of the field anyway. But also, it's a little bit too wide for 1 mower width. So even if it does, like, just take a little tiny bit on one edge, another mower width is going to be out on bare ground. So it's just going to say, job done, can't do any more. That's my theory. That's what I reckon is going to happen. So the combine going up there, he's going to reach 50% any minute now. So it's going to be like 60% going up through. Yeah, we're going to have to empty it out once the combine gets up to the top end. We're going to have to run down beside it, empty it out very quickly, and then we can let it carry. It's going to be moving into the fairly short work in a minute, so it's going to take a little bit longer for the combine to do whatever it needs to do. We're going to need to bale up the straw with this one before we get going with the planting, though, aren't we? Or are we? I mean, we don't have to. Don't think our small tractor can handle this baler. Only thing I'm thinking about this is that if the small tractor can't take the baler, then I can't really use the small tractor to do the baling. I suppose I could, like, get started on some of the planting, and then once I've got the raking done, change things over. This is what I was kind of hoping would happen, is it would leave a little narrow strip like this. Then it would come down through and mow that, but then it would be enough to go through and do the next little bit as well. But I'm going to have to just assume that it's going to do it, because we got to jump over here. I got to get that unloaded. So let's jump onto you. Rush out to get that combine so that I can get that unloaded, because it's going to be full before it comes back up again. It won't be full before it reaches the bottom end, but it will be full before it gets all the way back up here again, which is no good to us, means that we'll have to back the combine out of the crop. And I'd like to avoid doing that, if I can. If I keep a close eye on it, if I'm doing my job as the man on the grain cart, if I'm doing my job properly, I should be able to avoid having to reverse the combine out of the crop at any point. And there we go, Helper B has completed their task. That is what we thought it was going to do. So as soon as I get down to the end of the field here, I will put that one going on the next bit of field up above. So just bring you down here and empty out this bit. I guess I don't need to empty the whole thing out. I mean, not that it really matters. There. 4, 3, 2, 1, and empty. Right, you're done. So I'm just going to move you over to there. Get going with this one immediately. We want to get going with this one as quickly as I can. So I'm going to start that baler up and go to the front. I don't need to do anything on the front at the minute, but I do want to just gather up that little bit of grass right there and then swing you around here. So it will avoid quite a bit on the big stone up there. We're expecting it to do that, but for the rest of it, it should get pretty much everything. And there's going to be an interesting thing to find out once we do start ploughing up this field, once we start like doing the next round of mowing, is which side it's going to end up on. Is it going to end up sort of working across the short side, or is it going to end up working across the long side just when we put it going from the bottom of the field? We'll let it do both sides eventually, but it's I'm curious to see which one it's going to end up doing to start with. It'd just be an interesting little thing to find. It's not like all that interesting, I suppose, but yeah, it's why every time I look at it, I wonder which side it's going to end up doing. Is it going to end up like automatically doing the short side or the really long side? I mean, naturally, we'd hope that it would do the long side, and then you look at it and you think, well, it's not really worth bothering with that little tiny strip there. We'll see. We'll have to wait and find out. Right, that one is done. You are absolutely fine as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back up across the field, and I'm going to get a little bit more just so that we can have this trailer almost full. And then we can go tip that one out. And then I'm thinking I might just hook the rake on and do a pass around the outside of the field. Probably better if I was to wait a bit longer before I went and did too much of that, but I'm still thinking it would be alright at the moment. Do a pass around the outside of the field, and, well, if I could do 2 passes around the outside of the field, that would be even better. I'm not sure I'd be able to do that. I might be able to, because I'm not necessarily going to get all 3 rows on the first pass all the way around the outside. Certainly down this side, it's quite difficult to get full 3 widths of crop right into it. So I think we'll go and do that. We give that a go, because the baler is currently busy. It's occupied. If I can get rid of the stuff around the outside edges, that is altogether better. So we can get that baled up. Sooner the better, really, we're getting that baled up and removed, because then we can focus on just the stuff in the middle, and we don't need to worry about any of the rest of it. Right, so I've also got to keep an eye on the combine and how full it is. So that one is now all the way down, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab that rake. Reverse you in here like this. Grab you. Go on a little bit further. And right, properly hooked on there, and then out we go like this. I will start from this corner up here. Slowly, let's not go too insane with this one, and slowly unfold it as well. I got a little tiny drop of straw out there. I will pick that up a bit later on. I'll probably just grab that with the baler rather than worrying about it with anything else. Now, 3 rows into 1. Am I even going to be able to do? No, it doesn't look like I'm going to do that. It's not quite wide enough to gather 3 rows into 1 properly down through here. So doing 2 rows into 1, or 2.5 rows into 1, it's not a bad thing. I mean, down this side, it doesn't matter at all. Round the rest of it, if I can get the 3 rows into 1 for most of it, I can just get that last little row all the way around done as well, and that's going to just help keep things neat and tidy, and we should be able to get all of the straw done around the outside of the field in the 2 passes that I'd like to do. That's what I'm after here, is get the whole lot done in 2 passes. Let's get that one going. So if I can keep that dead center on that one, I should get both of these lots of straw. There's certain places where it goes just a tiny fraction wider, and that's where it does cause us a slight problem. But if I can keep my eye on it, it might be alright. There, right. Certainly on this corner, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do what I want to do there. But I guess every now and then, just on a corner, it's not the end of the world. Let's see what we're like with the rest of this. Can I get all of it up? I do want to make sure that I stay ever so slightly towards the outside. So if I'm going to miss anything, it'll be on the inside run. And then that will be picked up on our next time round. And then we're not going to be left with, like, little bits just stuck out on their own. That there, though. Yeah, come out like this. Yeah, see, it's left a little tiny bit there. And again there. So, I mean, yeah, I kind of expect the corners to be a little bit messy with it. We wouldn't expect the corners to be completely neat and tidy. That's alright. There's another little bit that I've just left there. But again, for the most part, this seems fine. Oh, I'm pleased with this. I am pleased with what we're doing. I'm going to go in a straight line up to this one. I'm not going to try and get all fancy around that corner. Yeah, bring you up there like that, and just lift you up there. Bring you in round, because that is not going to stretch to the 3 rows right there. Well, I don't think it is. I think it's going to leave. Oh. I am very pleasantly surprised there. I genuinely did not think that I would be able to get all of it. I mean, I didn't on that bit, but I wasn't really trying to. This road sign is just here to stay now, isn't it? That one is not going anywhere. That one is staying with us for quite some time, I think. It's become a permanent fixture on our rake. And it looks like I'm going to do okay with the 3 rows into one down through here. Down that outside edge doesn't really matter. That's not going to affect anything whatsoever. We're on 59% on our combine. I need to let the combine travel down across the field now with the run that it's doing, and then back up again, and then I'm hoping I will be able to empty it out. Right, and up here like this. This is where it does get a little bit messy, but we expect that. We're absolutely expecting that. There we go. Right, I'll pick that one up there and back in round here. Let's turn it too sharp and break everything, shall we? Seems to be the best approach to this. And I'll bring you to there. Now what I'm going to do... Right, that's 73%. I'm going to unhitch and leave that one there a minute. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to get our trailer so that I can empty out the combine again. Because by the time I get this trailer hooked on and sorted, and then over to the top end of the field, that combine will be back heading up across the field, and it's going to be approaching the point where it's actually full. So I'm going to bring you up here, like this. Get that hooked in there. We've got a lot of planting ahead of us as well. We've got, not only have we got oats to plant back onto this field, because that's going to be our next crop, so that we can sell all of the oats we've got. We've also got all of the grass to go and plant up on that side. So, I mean, I'm sort of thinking that maybe I won't bother with doing all of the grass up there. I don't really know. I'm going to keep going with this for a minute. I'm going to do another pass around the outside. Then we can get the baler over here and we can do some straw. We'll worry about the last of the grass up there afterwards. I'm starting to wonder if it's actually going to be completely worth our while doing it. I mean, I suppose what we can be doing is, while that is going, we are able to go and jump onto the tree harvester down over there, and we're able to go and harvest a few trees, because we have got several there that we need to move ready for a sheep pen and a cattle pen. So it's not like we haven't got stuff to do while we're waiting for that. And it's stuff that does have to be done so that we can clear room for the sheep and... not the sheep, the pig and cattle pens that we're going to need on here. We've got to get them. We've got to build a large cattle pen and a large pig pen in order to be able to complete the series, haven't we? And we've also got to fill them up completely with animals, So we need a boatload of money, and that money is going to come from, one, grass, selling silage bales, and is also going to be coming from the crops that we're selling, although this wheat we're keeping back as animal feed. The next crop will be oats, so that one will be selling. But the timber that we harvest, doing the next, clearing the next area, that timber will go towards the animal shelters that are going to be built there. I'm going to go up across the field this time. Rather than going out over to the road, I'm going to go up across the field here. And then I'm going to turn left and go around that way. Just to be different. Just to try something new. We turn left here. Come around that way. There. And cut in across that straw swath right there. And then we can head out this way and we can get that one tipping. So I'll tip this lot out and then we can jump back onto the rake. Get that raked up with the second pass all the way around the field. Once I've got that second pass done, then I will get the case down here immediately and we will bale up right round the field. I may have to pause the combine just for a minute or two while I do that baling, just to make sure that I got no bales in the way of the combine. But we can do the same thing. We're emptying the baler out as we do it. We've done that before. It works. So we could do that again. We can, any bales that are going to be baled up around where the crop actually is, we can just tip them out at the right time and then they'll be fine. And we won't need to worry about them. I have, however, run out of time for today's episode. We're just going to head down across here. We've got 2 rows that we were gathering up, and are we going to get 3? Are we going to get the 3 in here? It's like 2.5. Just doing it. It's only just doing it, though. That is really, really tight on that. That is really tight on that. And I'm going to stay here. I'm going to just drift it over this way ever so slightly down there like that. But anyway, yeah, like I said, we have run out of time. So if you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.